Shalom, this is Yehudit Goldfarb Sfat. I want to share with you the movements I do for the 5th day of the counting the 40 days of blessing that come after Shavuot. And I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing. We're moving into a new level. The first 4 days I do at the level of Keter, and I match the kamatz, which is the nikudah that goes with Keter, with the word bracha. So I started with a bet, second day a resh, third day a chaf, fourth day a hey. And I just notice in my life what the blessings are that come on that day, and I become aware of looking at it from a place of, in Keter, of the eternal now, isness, each moment as it happens, and appreciation and gratitude for those moments. Chochmah, I see, is a space where aware of the underlying oneness of all reality. And it was interesting to me, this day of the whole 4 days of Chochmah now, started during the late day, part of the day for me yesterday. Each of these days spans the daytime and the night, and then back to the next day. So it's a very interesting blending of energies. And so I noticed yesterday in the class I was doing that was just at sunset into night, that I was aware of the many levels of reality in a new way. Now, the actual 4 days of Chochmah come in today, during the day, not last night. But it was almost like a prelude to that birthing, because I was in the hay of Keter. It's a little abstract, but I try to bring it down into my life. And yesterday and this morning, when I woke up, I was still in that 4th day of blessing, the hay of Keter, and aware of creativity in a certain way. The hay can often be seen as the birth canal. And I was tapping into the fact that, very beautiful way, in my video yesterday, at some point, I started changing the hay. The hay came up in a different way. Now, I have various hays that I do, but I've been mostly doing what I call the simple hay for this group. And when I teach, I mostly teach the simple hay. And a new hay came through as I was doing the videotape. And it was like, oh. And I just continued and said there are variations of hay. And in the evening when I was doing the hay for my practice, the hay with the Keter, with the kamatz, I realized, oh, this is a beautiful hay to use for the final hay of Yud K Vav K, which can be different than the first hay. One has to do with the world of Bina, of the intellect, and the final hay has to do with manifestation. Anyway, it was a beautiful experience, and I looked at some notes I had from the past, and I had for that hay thought about words that go along with it, and the connection with pregnancy, and the word for pregnancy that starts with a hay. It's a learning process. It's nice in each word, as I get to the bet and the resh and the chaf and the hay, to think of words that start with that letter that might be connected with the energy of that day at that level. Anyway, it's something I open up to you to experiment with. And now I'm going to show you the 5th day, which we're moving into some point during the day. I haven't seen a midrash yet as to when Moshe finishes his 40 days and 40 nights and comes down the mountain. But I think it's not too long after dawn. And he goes up to the mountain after a feast with the elders, so it wasn't too long after dawn. So the 40 days was somewhere completed, I think, in the morning hours of each day. That too is a very interesting tikkun in some ways, or difference, really, not a tikkun, but a difference and a stretching, because the Omer count that we were doing between Pesach and Shavuos was counted ideally every night as early as possible after sunset, and you counted before the day began, so you were aware of it for the whole day. And here I am also doing that in terms of doing the movements, but the full count of that day doesn't finish till you're ready for the next day. It's a mid-daytime cycle change. And the other thing I want to explain, I'm exploring colors that I'm going to wear to remind me of which day it is, like I did with sefirot. And I was looking up Bina. It's hard to define, not Bina, I mean Chochmah. And some people say it's blue, I think Techelet blue. And others say it's rainbow, it includes all colors. Because it's the underlying oneness. Oh, I know I saw also that some people say it's white. The underlying oneness of all of creation. So I decided to think in terms, I'm wearing what I want to wear, but I then keep modifying stuff to make it kind of like a rainbow. My whole body is a rainbow system of the colors, and I have my purple and I have my blue, which underline blue, the underlying oneness possibly. You know, I have a yellow that I didn't wear so much during the sefirot count because it's an orangish yellow, and it's a mixture, and then I have a green in my necklace, and then different oranges and reds in my scarf, and my feet have dark socks for Malchut. But the rainbow is what I'm wearing, so that's going to help me, I hope, remind me of this aspect of Chochmah as it unfolds with the bet. The bet you did last time, like this. Where you bring one leg up the same side as the arm is over it to form the opening of the bet, and you point back the other hand. So this is referring back, like the bet of Bereshit, to the original Aleph, before creation. So I'm going to do 4 bets, one on each side. So starting, lifting on the left, lifting on the right, alternating my feet as I do this. So that's grounds you in the bet. Now, Keter that we did this last 4 days was the kamatz. The Petach, which goes with Chochmah, is the ah sound with a straight line. It's like if you realize the straight line can be made like this, ah, keeping your hands whole. Ah, it's also a circle. A straight line extended becomes a circle. A oneness. Ah, an all-encompassing oneness. An underlying oneness. Ah, Petach. This is Chochma. It's a unified, united vision of a wholeness, a one-pointed flash of an insight before you get to the next stage, which gives us the divisions. So the practice I do, again, is I do a letter and then the vowel. And I usually sound it, I don't always sound it. So, and I image through my body the sefirot, so that I do it 10 times. And this year I'm actually doing a movement for Malchut, because it is the level of action. And then at the very end, using Malchut as receiving God's breath and receiving in order to give. So the 10 repetitions, and I'm playing around with whether I change sides after I do the letter, because my practice in a word is to do one letter on one side and then one letter on the other side and go back and forth. And so I'm still experimenting on this one. In yesterday's tape, I changed midstream from doing the vowel on the same side as the letter to alternating, which I had been doing in the previous tape. So we'll see today. So first I'm going to do a bet, starting on my left. And then I'm going to, this time, be consistent with the left and go ba. Make the sound when I do the vowel. That was Keter, which is in the middle, really. It takes us to the right brain for Chochma. Ah, I did the right side. Then I go to the left for Bina, the left brain. Understanding. That was interesting. I combined them that time. I'm going to divide them out again. Ba. It's a little hard to explain as I'm doing it, but I'm going to try to do it on the early takes. Chochma was, we did Keter is the crown, Chochma is wisdom, that one-pointed flash. Bina is, Chochma and Bina is a sense of understanding and the distinctions, the comparisons, but without an emotional attachment. It's the intellect. Then we move into Chesed, openness, loving kindness. And I'm back on the right side. And I'm going to stay on the right side for Petach. Ba. And same with Gevura. On the left side, left arm, shoulder down. So another bet, starting with my left foot. And moving to my left for the Petach. Ba. Now Teferet's in the middle, and this is where I am playing with what I want to do about it. I'm going to go to the right. And this time, it's in the center, so I switched over for the vowel. But I'm going to stay on the right for Netzach, the right hip and leg. moving to the left for hold. Nessa is purposefulness and one point of vision of your mission in life. Why am I here? And hold is refining quality of acknowledging what the situation is and being able to modify, to refine my message to fit the situation. Includes a sense of empathy and a sense of gratitude. So left side. Just seeing that crossed over because it's very much linked with Nessa. Yesod is in the center. So I'm going to go over again to the right with Yesod. Malchut starting on the left. Yesod is the foundation, the pulling together of all the energies, the place of deep connection and speaking from the heart, moving from the inside out, bringing the outside in and unifying it and being able to bring the inside out, which manifests, God willing, in Malchut, in groundedness, centeredness, feeling God's presence in every action, being a channel for God's energy. So Malchut starting on the left with a bet. And then Malchut as letting Hashem breathe me, receiving in order to give. So as we move into this 5th day of the counting of the 40 days of blessing, I bless us all with the ability to recognize the underlying connection with every other human being, see how Hashem is inside and beneath and surrounding us at all times, a unity that comes from opening up to the place beyond words. Bless you.